Yeah. Hi, Muzaffar. So welcome back to Make Me Sharp again. So last session we had a discussion of fundamentals of .NET, like what is the .NET and what are the things we can able to do the .NET, and we also started what are the components involved in the .NET. So we started with .NET Framework, ASP.NET, and Visual Studio. So we were in the discussion of .NET Framework, and at the time I told you the .NET Framework is an integral component where it can support where it can help us to build the new application development, like web application or desktop application or mobile application. In order to develop such kind of applications, the .NET framework will help us to do such kind of activities. Again, in this .NET framework, we have two components again. Which one is a common language runtime and a framework class library. I already told you we have a .NET framework versions. Each and every version having their significance. Like 2012, they introduced the .NET Framework 1.0, and after that immediately 2003 they introduced a very minor version. However, so sorry, very minor version within a 1.1. So how I said like minor version is. So if you see here, this is 1.0 and this is 1.1, and if you see here, this is a 2.0. So if any version, if that component having the kind of major implementation added in that particular .NET framework, they can treat that as a major version. If not, it will be like a minor version. So that's why we gave it like so that Microsoft gave as a 1.1, and similarly all kind of .NET framework available in the market, and current version of .NET framework is 4.6.1, which is going to be released in 2017 March 20. In 9 days itself, it's going to come into the market. So that's what the history of .NET framework. And if you see here in our document, I have listed out what are all the features that got introduced in particular version. But this is not the right time to explain all the concepts here, because see, we don't know. If you see here, as of now, if I want to explain you guys, if you see system.data.odbc, if I want to explain you guys, first you need to understand about what is the system.data.odbc, then only I can explain you what is this feature. So once we done with our .NET session, definitely you will be in a position to understand all the kinds of features. Okay, so whenever you get a chance, you please go to the this document so that it can be easily understood for you. Okay, so like that .NET Framework 2.0 and 3.0 and 3.5 and the 3.5 SP1 features and the 4.5 and 4.5.1, like all the .NET framework features I have listed out over there. And also here is the pictorial diagram for this .NET framework versions, where it has a .NET framework common language runtime, base class library, and in .NET framework 2.0 they got introduced this one like WinForms, ASP.NET, ADO.NET, and 3.0 it got introduced WPF, WCF, WF, and CarSpace. And 3.5 LinkQ ADO.NET framework, which is the next version of ADO.NET. here 2.0 we had ADO.NET, and here we have ADO.NET Entity Framework, which got introduced in 3.5, and 4.0 parallel link queue, task parallel library, like that. It got introduced major features or functionalities in that particular release. This is what the particular .NET framework types and versions. And if you see here on top, we had a discussion like what is the components involved in .NET framework. One is a common language runtime and a framework class library. So under the .NET framework, we need to talk about two components. One is common language runtime and framework class library. So while explaining the concept of .NET framework, I just gave an introduction. So what are the .NET framework versions are there, and what is the significance of each version? That's all I just explained to you. And again, if we want to discuss about components of .NET framework, again we have two components here: common language runtime and framework class library. Okay, so here about the common language runtime. Okay, so let me explain what is this common language runtime, how and how it will be useful. Okay, so let me explain what is this .NET, sorry, that common language runtime. So whenever if someone asks about what is this common language runtime, we need to explain common language runtime is a runtime execution engine which support all the kind of features. So we need to explain all the features to that particular interviewer, so that he or she can understand what we know about the .NET, this one, like common language runtime. So if you see here, that common language runtime is a runtime execution engine which will help to provide all the kind of services. So base class library and thread support and type checker, calm master, exception manager, security engine, debug engine, MSIL2 native compiler, code manager, garbage collector, and class loader. So these are all services which that particular common language runtime provides in order to work our programs. Okay, let me repeat again. So common language runtime. It's a runtime execution engine. It's a runtime executable engine. It's a runtime executable engine which provides the following all services. So base class library support, class loaders, thread support, COM master, type checker, exception manager, security engine, debug engine, so JIT compiler, code manager, and garbage collector, and at last it provides the class loader support as well. So let me tell you what are all features in detail here. So here, class loader. Whatever the programs we are writing in our any compiler, like C# compiler, or VB compiler, or C++ compiler in our .NET program, this CLR will help us to load those classes into this class loader will help us to load that classes into the CLR. Okay, so Muzaffar, let me repeat again. So what is this class loader is, whenever we write any kind of program in C# compiler, or VB.NET compiler, or C++ compiler. Okay, so whatever the compiler we are using for writing our program, this class loader will help us to load those classes into the CLR. to load those classes into the CLR. Do you have any doubt here, Muzaffar?
Yeah, up till now there is no doubt. You explained about common language runtime is a runtime executable engine,
Yes,
and
yes.
it supports I
All
think
these
all
features.
services,
Correct. All
all
these
these features
services.
based class with itself.
Correct, correct. So coming to this class loader, what I want to now what I want to explain here is basically this class loader will help us to load our classes into the CLR. What does it mean is uh, to load classes instance, whatever the programs we are writing in C Sharp language or VB.NET language or C++ language, that class loader will help us to load those classes into the CLR. That is the purpose of class loader.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
and here we have one more service which is provided by the CLR is MSIL to native compiles. Let me explain what is this MSIL to native explain. So we have a diagram here. Let me go through the particular diagram. Yeah. Okay. What is this JIT compiler service provided by the provided by the CLR is see here we are using C Sharp as a compiler, C Sharp as a language to write our programs. Whatever the classes, whatever the program we are writing with the help of C Sharp.NET, we can write it here, C Sharp source files. So once we're done with our program, so whenever we want to compile that program, this C Sharp compiler will help us to compile that program. What is that compilation means? It will basically check whatever the code we have written for that particular program. It basically check the syntactical errors while execution of the program. That means whatever the program we have written in here, this C Sharp compiler will compile that particular program and tells us if there are any kind of like syntactical issues or kind of programming issues happen, it will let us know about those issues. Okay, once it get compiled, what is it will provide once C Sharp one C Sharp compiler compile that particular class file, it will generate one output file which is called as MSIL code. MSIL code, Microsoft Intermediate Language. Okay, and if you see here, we have an operating system here. Our operating system will only understand zeros and ones format. Okay, so here the intention of this JIT compiler is here the functionality of JIT compiler is whatever the MSIL code provided by this C Sharp compiler, it will convert that MSIL code into the mission understandable code, which is called as zeros and ones format, so that our operating system will able to understand and it will produce the output. Okay, let me repeat again. So here I want to explain, I'm explaining the concept of JIT compiler, which is one service provided by the CLR, Common Language Runtime. So the functionality of the CLR here is before explaining the CLR, so I'm just trying to explain the concept of how program execution happen in the C Sharp in our C Sharp here. Okay, so let me explain this particular concept again. So JIT compiler service provided by the CLR. So what is this JIT compiler is? So whatever the program we are writing in the C# language, that C# compiler will produce one output which is called as MSIL language. Okay, Microsoft Intermediate Language Metadata. So the JIT compiler will convert that particular MSIL code into the zeros and ones format, which can be understood by the operating system. Okay, so this in this particular part, our JIT compiler will help us to convert the MSIL code into the machine language code, which we can call it as a zeros and ones format. Okay. So that is one thing. And coming to the other service which provided by the CLR is code manager. So the purpose of this code manager is so it will help us to manage whatever the code we have written in the .NET. It helps us to manage the entire code in our program. The purpose of this code manager is this manages the code during the execution process. The purpose of this code manager is the particular code manager manages the code during the execution. Okay. And other very important service which is provided by the CLR is garbage collector. The other service which is provided by the CLR is garbage collector. Okay, let me explain full details about garbage collector. Okay, so before explaining the garbage collector, I want you guys to understand about managed code and unmanaged code. So let me explain what is this managed code. Whatever the code understand by the CLR is called as managed code, and whatever the code not understandable by the CLR is called as unmanaged code. Let me repeat again. So managed code and unmanaged code. Whatever the code which understandable by the CLR is called as managed code, and whatever the code which is not understood by the CLR is called as unmanaged code. So what is the understandable code, or what is the not understandable code? See here, while working with this .NET, I already told you like .NET is supporting the multiple languages in order to work with the particular projects. So if I have a background of C++, I can write my code using the C++, VC++ or C++ compilers. If I am the C#, if I am came from the Java background, I can write my code with the help of CSharp language in .NET. If I have the VB background and I can choose my language as VB.NET, I can write our program. These are the all .NET supportive languages. So if I write the code with the help of these supporting languages, the CLR can easily understand that code, and we can call that as a managed code. So if I take the other language C, for example, if I want to write a code in C, I want to add that code into the .NET project, then that will be called as unmanaged code. C is not directly understood by the CLR. So here we can call that C, whatever the piece of code we write with the help of C language, that is not understandable by the CLR. That's why we are calling it as the unmanaged code. Okay. So Muzaffar, having any doubt on managed code and unmanaged code?
I think in a garbage collector is uh, services of CLR, and I need to have some more
Correct, correct.
idea on the garbage collector.
No, no, I didn't explain anything about garbage collector till now. So before
Mhm.
explaining the concept of garbage collector, I want you to understand what is managed code and unmanaged code.
Okay.
Okay, so that managed code is whatever the code understandable by the CLR is called as managed code. That means so whatever the languages supported by the .NET framework like C#, VB.NET, J#, F#. If I write my application with the help of those languages, then CLR can easily understand those programming. Then
Okay.
those code will be called as a managed code.
Okay.
Okay, but if we consider the one scenario, if I want to write my code in C language, which is not directly understandable by the CLR, because C is not supportive language for the .NET. Okay, so in that particular situation, we can call that whatever the code we have written in C language, that we can call it as unmanaged code in terms of this particular .NET.
Okay.
Okay, managed code and unmanaged code. Managed code is a code which is understandable by the CLR. Unmanaged code is a code which is not understandable by the CLR. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So now,
Yeah.
yeah, Raj also joined here.
Hey, good morning.
Hi, Raj.
Hi, Madan. I'm getting the password as invalid. I don't know why.
Okay, okay.
Make me share at 9.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah,
Make me share right now.
yeah. I tried like a couple of times. I'm getting that.
Okay. Now it's fine, right?
Yeah,
Okay. So what I try to explain here, Raj, last time we had a
yeah.
discussion of yeah. You guys can mute, and whenever you get a doubt, you can unmute.
Oh, sorry for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I just started discussion of previous session. In previous session, we had a conversation of introduction on .NET and whatever the things we can able to do with the .NET. That all we had a discussion on last session, and at the same time, I started explanation of .NET component, which includes .NET framework, ASP.NET, and Visual Studio. And again, if you come to know about .NET framework, so I told you like .NET framework is nothing but the integral component which can help us to build the next generation application. Which means we can able to develop the web application or desktop application or Windows application or WCF services, web services, or mobile application. We can able to develop all the kind of application with the help of this .NET. Okay. Again, this .NET framework comes into two other components. One is a common language runtime and framework class library. So I already told you like what is the significance of .NET framework and its versions. So each and every version of .NET framework have their own significance features. So this is not the right time to have a discussion on the particular features listed down here. But slowly, once we get awareness on .NET and the other functionality, once we come back here, you can able to understand these features. Okay, so this is the .NET framework versions. And once we have an idea of a .NET framework version, so the other component what I told you under the .NET framework is so common language runtime. So what is this common language runtime? So when we talk about this common language runtime, so basically we can say CLR is a runtime executable engine for the .NET. It's a runtime executable engine for the .NET. So which also provides all the services like this. The CLR provides all the services listed down here. So class loader, JIT compiler, code manager, garbage collector, security engine, debug engine, type checker, exception manager, thread support, COM marshaller, and base class library support. These are all service provided by the these are all service provided by the CLR. So let me first explain the concept of class loader. So what is this class loader?
No, no, what are the services? CMR services?
These are all CLR services.
Okay, okay,
CLR in the sense a common language runtime. We can say
okay,
that is a runtime executable engine. It's a
okay,
runtime executable engine which will provide all the kind of services. Okay.
okay,
So here when we talk about this class loader, whatever the program we have written in particular language, either it might be C# language or VB.NET, whatever the classes we are writing in that particular language, this class loader will help us to load those classes into the CLI. Whatever the classes we are writing in that particular language, this class loader service of CLR will help us to load that classes into the CLR. That is the functionality of a class loader. And other functionality, other service which that CLR is providing is a JIT compiler. Here JIT compiler. So the full form of the JIT compiler is just in time compiler. Just in time compiler. Let's see what is that just in time compiler. So to explain that particular concept, I have one diagram here. This is the diagram which can help us to understand that JIT compiler. So here this diagram, whatever they here we are considering this C# as a language to write our programs. Whatever the code we are writing using this C# language, this C# compiler will help us to evaluate the particular code, whether it has the syntactical errors or not. It will evaluate those kind of syntactical issues, and once everything is fine with that particular lines of code which we have written, that will generate one output which is called as MSIL code. So the full form of MSIL is Microsoft Intermediate Language. The output of the CLR is MSIL code. But if you see here, this MSIL is a intermediate language. Our operating system can understand only zeros and ones format. But if I directly pass this MSIL code to the operating system, which is not understandable by the operating system, it will give an error. So here our JIT compiler will do that kind of conversion from MSIL code to the zeros and ones format code, which is understandable by the operating system. Okay, let me repeat again. Whatever the code we have written in C# language, our C# compiler will compile that particular C# code and it will produce the output as a MSIL code. Okay, but our operating system can only understand machine code which is zeros and ones format. This JIT compiler will convert this MSIL code into the machine understandable code so that operating system can easily understand it. So that is the functionality of JIT compiler. So here we can say that JIT compiler, the functionality of a JIT compiler is convert the MSIL code into the machine level code, which is the zeros and ones format. That is the purpose of this JIT compiler. The full form of the JIT is just in time. Just in time. So that is the full form of a JIT here. That is the one service which is provided by the CLR. And also we have other services. So other service which is provided by the CLR is the code manager. So let's see what is that code manager. So whatever the code we have written in our whatever the classes or whatever the programs we are writing in our particular language, this code manager will help us to manage that code at execution. In execution time, if that particular code is manageable, then this code manager will help us to manage that code during the execution. During the execution of the particular program, in order to manage that code, that code manager will help us. That is the one service which is provided by the CLI. And another service which is provided by the CLR is the garbage collector. And the short form of this garbage collector is GC, garbage collector. Before explaining the concept of garbage collector, so I want you guys to understand two terminologies. One is managed code and second one is unmanaged code. So the managed code is any part of the code, any code which is understandable by the CLR is called as managed code. Any code which is not understandable by the CLR is called as unmanaged code. So let me explain what is understandable code and what is ununderstandable, not understandable code here. So understandable code in the sense, so I told you .NET supports multiple languages in order to do our programming. So it supports C# language, it supports J# language, it supports F# language, it supports VC++, and many languages which .NET is supporting. If I choose any of the .NET languages and if I write my program in that particular language, which is easily understood by this CLR, then we can call that code as managed code. Any .NET supporting language, if we choose and write our code that is easily understood by the CLR, that we can call it as managed code. But if some scenarios, if you consider some scenarios, if I want to write the code in C language, I want to execute that code in .NET environment. Then .NET directly not understand the code which is written in C language. Then we can call that as a unmanaged code. Okay. So that is the thing. Do you have any questions, Raj or Muzaffar, about managed and unmanaged code? So I will explain the concept of garbage collector. Before proceeding that, I want you guys to understand managed code and unmanaged code. Okay. So if you clear about managed code and unmanaged code, we can move forward with the garbage collector. Okay. So whatever the as I told you, like whatever the code which is understandable by the the CLR is called as managed code. If I write any kind of managed code at that particular point of time, this garbage collector will automatically manage that particular code. If I write my code with the help of any this C# languages, any .NET languages, then that code can easily understand by the garbage collector, and at the same time which is managed by the garbage collector. So why I'm saying that managed by the garbage collector here is here if I create one class with the help of C# language, in order to deallocate that class once the program execution is done, and in order to release that particular class memory once we're done with that particular program, all the kind of activities this garbage collector will manage. This garbage collector will manage the automatic memory allocation. So whenever I write any program, it will allocate the memory for that particular class, and automatically it will deallocate that memory for that particular class. Once we're done with that particular class execution, it will automatically deallocate that particular class memory. That's why we are saying that automatic memory management which is provided by the garbage collector. Okay, let me repeat again. So the functionality of a garbage collector is it will provide the automatic memory management for our program. It will provide automatic memory management for our program. Again, why I'm saying about managed code and unmanaged code here is this garbage collector will manage that memory for only managed code. So if I want to manage for my unmanaged code, I need to write, as a developer, we need to write our own code to manage that particular unmanaged code. Okay, to manage that particular unmanaged code, we need to write our own code in order to manage the memory allocation for that unmanaged code. But if you consider about the managed code, we no need to write any piece of code. Automatically, this garbage collector will take care of that code. So creation of memory and deallocation of memory will take care by the garbage collector. This is the very best feature introduced by the .NET. If you consider about any kind of C language or C++ language, if I create any kind of file, I need to write my 10 lines of code or 5 lines of code to release that particular file from the memory allocation. But in terms of this .NET, if I create any class, if I done with that particular class execution, and if that particular object is no longer used, automatically this garbage collector will check that particular object whether it is used or not, and automatically it will deallocate that memory allocation, so that that memory will be available for the next program or next operation. So that's how this garbage collector will help us to manage the automatic memory execution. Again, the memory allocation and automatic memory allocation will only possible for the managed code. Okay. So any questions on this garbage collector, Ras or Muzaffar?
Yeah. Yeah, till now there is no questions.
Okay. So and again this security engine. Whatever the program we are writing, whatever the code we are writing in our particular programming, that security engine will provide the tight security for our execution. Okay. So that other like security vulnerability we can avoid here. We can avoid other security vulnerabilities here. And coming to the debug engine, so this debug engine will help us to debug our program. So whenever we have kind of issues or errors in our program, we need to debug our program in a step-by-step process in order to find out the error and provide the fix for that. this .NET, the CLR service, which is a debug engine, will provide that kind of ability for the developer to debug our program. That is called as a debug engine. Okay. And type checker. So I told, like, we had a discussion. .NET is going to .NET is supporting multiple languages. That means it supports the C# language, it supports the VB.NET, and it supports JSharp and F#. Like that, it supports the multiple languages. If we say here, if I consider the C++, integer will take the 2 bytes. And if I consider the C language, integer will take again 2 bytes here. And if I take the Java, integer will take 4 bytes. In terms of these differences, to combine all the languages into one platform, this type checker will help us to allocate the memory for that particular language based on the language selection. So that's why this type checker will help us to define the data types for our programming. This type checker will help us to define the data types for our programming. So even if I select the C sharp, it will take the default as a 4 bytes of memory, and if I select the J sharp, it will by default take the integer as a 4 bytes of memory. It will commonly allocate the data types for our program. That's where this type checker will help us. If I want to define any type of any data type in my program to perform the operation, this type checker will help us to perform such kind of operation. And again, exception manager. So so that, like I told you, like debug engine will help us to perform the step-by-step execution process in order to find out the error. So sometimes what happens is my program will syntactically correct, but when I execute that program or when I run the program, I may get the runtime exceptions. So which is called the runtime errors, which is sorry. So whenever I'm trying to execute a particular program, runtime I can get the errors. That runtime errors are called as exceptions. That runtime errors are called as exceptions. To manage that exceptions, we had a service in CLR which is called as exception manager, which is called an exception manager. So let me repeat again. So whenever we write any program, it may syntactically correct, but when I execute that program, runtime, I may get the errors. Those kind of runtime errors are called as exceptions. Here we have one service which is called as a exception manager from the CLR, which will provide that management for our exceptions, which we will call as exception manager. Okay. And other thing what we have service is thread support. Basically, in any kind of programming language, if I write 10 lines of code, the execution process of the 10 lines of code will be like this. First statement will get executed. Second statement will get executed. Once the second complete, a third will get executed, and so on. 10 lines of code will sequentially execute. But in some scenarios, I want to execute multiple piece of code parallelly in my program. I want to execute multiple pieces of code parallelly in a program. Then we can make use of this thread support. Thread is nothing but a lightweight process. Okay, we can initiate our lightweight process into the program so that multiple operation can be done at a time. Instead of line by line execution, Parallelly, I can execute my program to get the output as quick as possible. That kind of support also the CLR will provide, which is called a thread support. Okay, and other one what we have here is a COM master. What is this COM master here is whatever the component model objects like Excel or MS Word or PowerPoint or some kind of office applications what we have. If I want to contact .NET application with the MS Office components, then we can take the help of the COM master, component object model, which will help us to convert COM objects into the .NET objects. So if I want to interact or work with MS Office components like Word, Excel or PowerPoint, the COM master will help us to work with the Office components. The purpose of the COM master is it will convert the component model objects into the .NET objects so that we can easily work on it. Such kind of functionality or service which is provided by the CLR, which we are calling it as a COM master. Okay. And other very important support what the CLR will support is base class library support. Let's see what is this base class library. So if you aware in C, we have like header files like hash include stdio.h or something like that. We have a header files which will provide some kind of functions for our program. For example, if I want to perform some kind of printf or a scanf in that particular C language or C++, printing statements, then I can take the help of those header files and I can produce that output. Here in the C# language also, we have a base class libraries which will provide the easy way to write our programs. For example, if I want to write one output in C# language, simply what I can do is I can use the using statement with the help of system namespace, and I can write my program as conjure.writeLine of that particular output. Here, this is using of system is the base class library. So the CLR will provide the support for the base class libraries as well. So that is the one service which is provided by the CLR. Let me repeat the CLR again. CLR is nothing but Common Language Runtime Executable Engine for .NET programs. CLR is nothing but Common Language Runtime Execution Engine for our .NET programs. So here the CLR will provide the services listed as class loader, which helps to load our classes into the CLR, JIT compiler, which converts the uh, MSIL code to the machine understandable code. Code manager will help us to execute the code in runtime or during the execution time. Garbage collector, which will provide the automatic memory management for our programs. Security engine, which helps us to provide the security for our programs. Debug engine will provide the debugging facility or ability for our programs. Type checker, which will help us to define the data types for our programs. Exception manager will help us to manage the runtime errors. Thread support, which help us to execute the multiple operations at one time. COM master, which will help us to convert the Office components to the .NET components. which we will call as a COM marshaller, and CLR will also provide one service which is called as base class library support. So these are all services provided by the CLR. Do you guys having any questions on CLR and its services?
From my side, Madan, I'm okay with everything what you explained.
Yes, Raj, are you fine with that CLR services? Okay, so that's fine. And let's move with the other. So let's move with the other thing, which is we already seen that manage and unmanaged time systems. Yeah. So in the explanation process of that framework class library. So here we have these kind of framework class libraries which are supported by the this did .NET here. So here the purpose of these are all 20,000 plus classes is to provide the easy way to work in our programs. Because for example, see, I want to do some kind of mathematical operations. In that scenario, if I want to do any kind of square, or if I want to do any kind of seal of a particular number, or if I want to get the floor of a particular number, I can simply use our existing methods defined by the this .NET framework base classes. These are all a list of .NET Framework base classes which can help us to execute our programs with a simple lines of code, with less lines of code. Other component which we have in our .NET is Visual Studio. So coming to Visual Studio, what I can explain with this Visual Studio is to Visual Studio is nothing but the integrated.
Madan,
Yeah,
Madan, can you
yeah,
explain this one more time at the top one?
this one, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
correct. Let me explain the framework class libraries again. So what is this framework class libraries is? In our programming we will do multiple operations. We will do the uh, some kind of mathematical operations as per our process, or we can do some kind of so we can display the output to the end user, we can read the input from the end user, and we need to process that particular input information in order to give the output to the end user. That kind of all operations we will do in our program. Basically we will do the operations in our program to provide the output. So in order to do such kind of operation in any programming, we need to write a few lines of code in order to produce that kind of output. Okay, so I will give one simple example here to produce that particular output. Let me show you one example. So here, this is the very simple lines of code what we can write in our C#. So what I have written here is I just started with the class.
हो गया थोड़ा काम था कॉलेज का कल 2 घंटे मैं बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया
Muzaffar, mute yourself.
नहीं इंशाल्लाह बोलते हैं
Yeah. So what I can explain with this base class library is see this is the simple program what we can write to produce the output as hello world. See, if I want to produce this kind of hello world, I have written a few lines of code here. I have declared one class, I have declared one main method, and I have write one line of code saying that console.write, where I pass the hello world as a string for that particular method here. So if you see here, uh, we don't know like what is this console and what is it, right? Do we write did we write any code for this console, what is this console and what is this, right? Have you written any lines of code for this? No, because these are all coming from the some other classes. This console, this write, and this are all coming from some other class. Here on top, if you see, I have written one line of code which is called as using system. This class or namespace will contain all the methods like console is one class. Under that console, we have one method which is called as write. So in order to produce this output in our CSharp program, so we are simply writing that console.write. But internally, this console class is defined into the system namespace, and the write method is also defined in that particular console class. These are all coming from the that C# .NET framework class libraries. That's why this using the system, we are inheriting that base class library into our program, so that I can simply write console.write, and I can just pass the string whatever I want to see in the output window. So if I want to write this class itself here, so that I need to write 20 to 30 lines of code here. But instead of doing that one, what this Microsoft did is they already written such lines of code in the system namespace under the class console. We are just using those classes and the methods to produce the output. Those kind of predefined classes are called as base class libraries. Those kind of predefined classes are called as base class libraries. Have you understand?
Can you tell me once again?
Yeah. So basically, my intention here is I just want to write one output which is called as hello world. In order to write such kind of output to my console, here I just write console.write. But have you written ourselves haven't written any lines of code for this console and write line, right? We are not writing any code for this console and write.
What is
Someone,
console?
sorry,
Console, console means it is in any function.
it is a class which is
Yeah.
under this system namespace. And this
No, I,
write is a method which is under in console class, but we
no,
haven't write those classes and methods.
I'm asking console. You're saying right? Why do
Yes,
you want to write console? You write a different one. It's
correct.
a format
So,
of.
yeah, so can you please come again, Raj?
You know,
Raj, can you please come again?
is the console is a format of C sharp or it does anything? Why do you write only console? Why can't you write something different?
No, here the purpose of this program is the simple line of program is I want to display the output into my console. So here I took the
Console is asking, what is a console? Console is a C sharp format or it's in C language we don't write console, right?
yeah,
We write something.
correct. Here in C sharp to produce the output we are using a write method which is available in the console class.
Okay.
So in C language, or if you take the C++, in C we have a printf or scanf,
Yeah, print
and
of scanf. That's right.
yes, yes, correct. So in in C++ we have cout cin,
Yeah,
but
see out see.
correct in C sharp we have a write method and read method.
Okay, that is the okay.
So in C sharp we have a write and read method. But what I am trying to explain to you guys here is about base class libraries. Okay, so to explain that base class libraries, I am giving an example here. My example is I want to write one output as hello world. Here to write that particular hello world output, here I am writing that console and the write line. But we haven't written any lines of code for this console class, and we haven't written any lines of code for this write method. Someone like Microsoft developers have written that lines of code into the into system namespace. We are just using those classes here to produce our output. So that's predefined classes, or those predefined classes are called as the base class libraries. So if you see here, if I want to write the code of that console class or write method code, here I may need to write 20 to 30 lines of code here. But if I just use this using statement on the top of my program, I can refer the whatever the methods available in whatever the classes or whatever the methods are available in that particular system. So I can avoid that many lines of code here. That's what that base class libraries will help us in order to reduce the number of lines of code in our programming. Those predefined classes are called as base class libraries. Okay. Those predefined classes are called as base class libraries. So, Muzaffar, did you understand now what is the base class libraries?
Yeah, I'm able to understand that. Yeah,
So,
base class library is a predefined classes already defined by Microsoft,
yes, yes,
and console.writeline are the classes and the methods
correct. So,
which
which
are
are
already
available
defined
in the that particular base class
in
libraries.
base class library.
So, we
These
can
libraries
simply
can these libraries can inbuilt the C
yeah,
sharp language.
yeah, those are inbuilt into our Visual Studio. So
Okay.
once we install that .NET, and once we install the .NET into our system, all will classes will come to our Visual Studio.
Okay.
So we just need to refer those classes. So which will help us to reduce the number of lines in our programming. So like 20,000 classes really we have in our base class libraries to help us to write our programs efficiently or effectively. Okay. But again, one thing I want to explain about this base class libraries is all these base class libraries are written in C sharp language itself. All these base class libraries are developed with the help of C sharp language. So that is one point. And other thing what I want to explain here is about Visual Studio. So before going to explain about Visual Studio, let me give the kind of introduction of uh, like how we can write our program into any kind of editor. So here, if you see here, we have the notepad as a editor. So where we can write our uh, uh, code, or we can save that code into the .cs. Then it can save as a C sharp program. So for example, if I write any lines of code, same lines of code here, whatever I have written. So if I copy here and if I paste my code here, and while saving this notepad here, So if I save my notepad as all files, and if I C sharp sample program .cs. So if I use the extension as .cs, it will be treat that particular program will be the C sharp program. And I'm just saving in a documents folder. And if I click on here, if I go to the my document, see here it saved as the C sharp. Here it saved as the C sharp program. So, but here why I'm explaining the writing, why I'm explaining the this notepad to write our program is see uh, here I can write my program in notepad itself, but the problem of writing the code in notepad here is so for example, if I misspell my class name as CLAS, and if I again save it, and if I will it give any error here? So kind of underline with the red symbol or something like that. It's not giving any kind of indication here in the notepad itself to identify the error. So it's not giving any kind of indication. Even though I can write my program in a notepad and I can save my file with the .cs extension, but problem with this problem in writing the code in notepad here is it will not give any kind of syntactical errors here in the notepad. And at the same time, if you see here, if I want to write this console.write, so for example, if I want to write console dot, so if you see here, if I press the dot, it's not giving any kind of intelligence for us to select the method as write or write line methods. It's not giving any kind of intelligent support for our programming. The first program we have to write our programs in Notepad is not giving the any kind of syntactical errors in the Notepad itself. The other problem what we have to write our programs into the in Notepad is it will not give any kind of intelligent support to write our programs. Okay, to avoid to avoid this kind of problems, what Microsoft provide is they provide one editor which is called as this one like Visual Studio, which we can call it as integrated development editor for integrated development environment. What we can say is IDE. Visual Studio is nothing but IDE, which we will call it as Integrational Development Environment. Integrational Development Environment. Here, this IDE will help us to write our programs with intelligent support and syntactical error support as well. That all kind of features we can have it in our Visual Studio. So we can have it in our Visual Studio here. So if you see here, so before going to write any kind of programs in our Visual Studio, let me make you familiar about this Visual Studio so that you can work with the Visual Studio efficiently in our development. Let's start with the file menu. What we can do with this file menu. Okay, here if you see we have the file menu where it will provide the options to create the new project, to create the new website, or to create the new team project, or to create the new file as well. So let's see what is this project and what is this website and what is this team project. Project is
Very
nothing
well.
but
Oh,
a large mute
sorry,
yourself.
sorry.
Okay. So here the purpose of this file menu is where we can create the new project, where we can create the new website, where we can create the new team project here. So what is this team project here is so in an organization, in order to work with the any project, we have many team members. Based on the complexity of the particular project, we may have 20 members, 30 members, or 50 members, or 100 members as well. So in order to work with a team, if I create my team project, our solution will be placed in one common place. Daily, like if once I reach the office, I can get the latest code from the particular place, and I can work for my work. I can work individually in the particular module. And at the end of the day, once I'm done with my particular functionality or particular lines of code or particular class files, I can again save this information into the server so that it will available for the other developers. So if I want to work with such kind of project, then I can select a team project here. And if I want to work with a just project where I can select the project where it has multiple classes information. And if I want to develop a website, I can choose the website and I can able to develop a website here. So in order to do the any kind of new, I can select the file option and I can go to the new menu here, and where I can select the project, website, or team project, or file as well. And these are all four options what we have in our new. And at the same time, open also will help us to open the existing project or solution, or to open the existing website, or to open the existing team project, or open from source control. I told you like this team project will save in a common place where we can access our code. That place we will call it a source control. Okay. And same thing like file I can open, and something like if I want to convert some VB.NET code to the C Sharp, or if I want to develop C Sharp code to the VB.NET, there we have a ability to convert that information. And close means it will close that particular file. And if I have any kind of solution open, if I want to close that solution, I can close it here. And if I want to save any kind of items, if I already opened and work on that, if I want to save that, I can save that information. And at the same time, if I want to save that particular file with the other name, I can make use of save as. And if I want to save all the files which are opened in my Visual Studio, I can make use of save all option. And export template and other related information also we have. That print, those are all not such kind of important, but the important ones in that particular file menu is creating the new project, creating the website, and creating the team project. And coming to the opening the existing project, opening the existing website, and opening the source control and the team project. And coming to this one, useful options here is this save and save as and the save all items. Okay. So and if I want to know about the Visual Studio information, I can click on that account settings, where I can see the information about this Visual Studio, what version of Visual Studio I am using, and the license key, that all we can able to see it here. And if we see here, and exist. If I want to exist from the Visual Studio, either I can make use of the shortcut Alt F4, or I can just click on this exist option, which will close the Visual Studio. And same whatever we have here, new we have control N, like if you see here. So for all we have the shortcut keys as well. Control Shift N for opening the new project, Shift Alt N for opening the new website, Control N which will open the new file, so that we have the all shortcut keys as well. So if we already familiar on that, we can make use of shortcut keys, or you can make use of file option. Okay, you can open the file and you can go to the relevant operation. We can do the relevant operation here. And at the same time we have the edit menu, where we can do the undo, redo, and undo last global action, that kind of options like cut, copy, paste, delete, find and replace, that all options we are having in our edit menu. So it's a similar like MS Code or other software which we are using in a regular fashion, where we can have a edit menu, where we can do the Control Z and Control Y for undo, and Control Z for Control Y for redo, and Control Z for undo, and some kind of all copy, cut, and paste operations also we can able to perform in Visual Studio. And at the same time, if you see here, we can have the find and replace option, which can be helpful in our programming as well. And if I want to navigate from one window to the another window, we can be able to use that. And if I want to bookmark any kind of operation, I can able to do that. And at the same time, if you see here, we have one more menu which is very useful in our Visual Studio is so view menu. So in that view menu, all our Solution Explorer or Team Explorer, some other which are useful in our Visual Studio, all will be listed out here. So I can work with the Solution Explorer. So if I click on the solution, automatically it will open the solution. So what does the Solution Explorer here is? It is a collection of projects. Solution Explorer contains a solution where the solution will have multiple projects. Okay, Solution Explorer will contain some, multiple solution, and each solution can have multiple projects, and each project can have the multiple classes or files. So that is a hierarchy where we have a solution explorer, where it has a multiple solution, and that each solution can have multiple project, and each project can have multiple files here, or class files. And that's how the this hierarchy here. And if you see here in view menu, we have one more option which is called as the team explorer. If I click on that team explorer, I can, as I told you, like if I want to work with if I want to work with in a team where our code is shared in that particular location, and in daily activities we can contact that particular server to download the data and update the code. So where we can simply use this team explorer and the server explorer. So if I want to work with the SQL server from the Visual Studio itself, I can make use of server explorer. And again we have SQL server object explorer, which can help us to work SQL server from the Visual Studio. And so some other operations like call hierarchy, class view, and error list, output, start page, task list, like whatever the features are available in Visual Studio, that all we can able to see it here. And also one useful thing is a properties window. We can able to work with the properties here. And as I told you, like CLR support one more feature, which is one of the service which is called as a debug engine, where we can work with that debug facility in Visual Studio with that debug menu. Okay, so and team, as I told you, like if I want to work with the team with the multiple persons involved, where I can work with the team menu, where I can go to the my list items, where I can go to the whatever the list item created by the team, and where I can write my own query to retrieve that particular list of items which is already assigned to me. That all operations we can able to do with the team menu here. And other thing what we have is a tools option. So if I want to do some kind of customization with the Visual Studio, I can able to do here. So if you go to the tools and the options here, and here I can able to select my color theme for my Visual Studio. As of now it is blue. If I want to make it dark or light, I can change that kind of option in our Visual Studio with the help of tools here. And even if I want to enable page numbers for my code, if I want to do some kind of merging or some other kind of settings for our Visual Studio, this is the place where we can do such kind of activities. So if I see here, text editor is there, and C#. If I select the line number, so whenever I'm writing any code in my C# class, it will indicate the line numbers. If I check it here, if I click on OK, then whenever I want to write any kind of program in my Visual Studio, it will align with the line numbers. So that line numbers will help us to debug our programs. So how it will be help us to debug our programs? Whenever we have any kind of syntactic error in our program, that Visual Studio indicates with the line number. So if it is already aligned with the line numbers, I can directly go and check that particular line number to fix our issues here. So that's where we can work with this tools option, and line number, text editor and line numbers we can able to check over there. So this is one thing, and this is test which we can write our automation test cases in Visual Studio, and analyze means where we can analyze our coding functionalities. Whatever the code we have written, we can execute that code with this analyze button, and we can perform some kind of like what I can say, the performance for our code. We can do some kind of performance testing for our code here. And window, where I can work with the windows, how I want to organize my Visual Studio with the windows, I can work with here.
Do you know how to do performance testing in Visual Studio?
Yeah, yeah. So here we have a this one, right, profiler here, where we can switch on that profiler, and it will indicate that which piece of code is taking the much time in our Visual Studio.
Oh, okay.
So we can make use of this profiler to do our performance testing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
This is one thing, and the window here is we can organize our Visual Studio, whatever window, whatever the structure we want, we can organize our windows in Visual Studio. And finally, what we have is help, where we can understand what is the Visual Studio we are using, and what are the framework we are using in Visual Studio. That all kind of information we can able to see it here. So that if I open the about, where I can see the particular version information, that all kind of information we can able to see it here. So this is 4.60, the .NET Framework version also we can able to see it here. So this is all about Visual Studio. Like this is the integration development environment where we can write our programs or where we can write our code efficiently in the we can write our programs here. Yeah, let's take like 5 to 10 minutes break and we can continue here. This particular part.
No, even we
No,
can do in Visual Studio Performance. Like if you go to File, one
Yeah.
second,
Okay.
then select a new,
New.
yeah, new project.
Okay.
One second.
Go to the other things here. So on top, let me start with the yeah. So while explaining the starting session of this .NET fundamentals, I explained what are all we can do with the .NET, and at the same time, so I explained what is the .NET framework and what are the .NET components here. We have .NET framework, ASP.NET and Visual Studio. So we covered with the .NET framework where we had a discussion about common language runtime and framework class libraries. And we just done with the Visual Studio. I just make you familiar about the Visual Studio, what are the options are available in Visual Studio that we covered. And after that we have one more technology which is called as ASP.NET. So the full form of this ASP is Active Server Pages .NET. Previously, we have earlier version which is ASP. So where we don't have any. Basically, this was the prior version of this ASP.NET, and later once .NET introduced from the Microsoft, they upgrade that name as ASP.NET with all the features of .NET. They renamed that particular component as a ASP.NET. Previously, we used to have ASP, which is the active server pages. Similarly, for our competitor Java also having the JSP development. Okay, so here the ASP.NET is a technology where we can develop the website or web application. Where we can develop the websites or web application. So those are also interactive or dynamic website or web application. So why I'm talking about interactive or dynamic web application is where there is a interactivity between the database to get the information and to send the information. That kind of interactive applications we can able to develop with the ASP.NET. Okay, these are all three components available in the .NET. So one is a .NET Framework and ASP.NET and Visual Studio. So we have a separate session for the ASP.NET where we can cover how to add the controls to the web page, how we can design the web page, and how we can host that particular web page into the web server. That all kind of things we can able to cover in the ASP.NET session. So these are all the fundamental things of the .NET. So let's move to the other concepts of .NET here. So, yeah. So now this is the time to move our session to the C# program. So before moving to the C# program, let me give kind of introduction of language. So here basically computer language, not general language. So here let me give kind of introduction with the computer language. So the computer language will help us to interact with the operating system to perform some kind of operation. That might be a mathematical operation, that might be a scientific operation, that might be some kind of other operation what we want to perform in our programming. That language will help us to write such kind of code. So here, why we are choosing this C Sharp as a language for our programming is there are a couple of factors we can consider. One thing here is most of the people have the background of C or C++, and it will be easy for them to understand the language of C Sharp. If I have the basics of C language or C++, I can easily understand the programming of C sharp language. And also other factor why we are considering the C sharp here is whatever the base class libraries which we are using in our .NET programming, all is developed on the language of C sharp language, C sharp itself. So that's why if I write my code also in C sharp language, both will be easily compatible. The base class libraries and the C sharp also will be compatible. So that is the another reason why we are choosing the C sharp language. And also, if you see the security perspective compared to the this VB.NET, we have the more features including the C sharp language. That's why we also considering this. That's the other reason what we are why we are considering this C sharp as a language to our programming. So by considering all the factors, most of the people, 80 to 85% of the people in .NET programming, they choose C Sharp as a language to do the program. Okay, so let me again the factors of choosing the .NET program. One is it is a compatibility with the .NET framework class libraries, and it's also it also having ability to understand the C sharp efficiently with the background of C or C++, and also due to the tight security with the C sharp language. That also one factor where we can choose our C sharp language. Okay. So to demonstrate our all programs in our C sharp language, basically what I will do here is I will do the control application. So let's go to the new project here, and here we can select as a console application, because to execute that particular code and to show you the output, this is the best way where we can do that for our demonstration purpose. This is the best solution where we can execute and show you the output. Mhm. So that's why here we are choosing that control application. Before choosing the control application, let's select which language we want to proceed here. Here, if you see here templates, we have Visual Basic, Visual C Sharp, Visual C++, Visual F Sharp. Okay, so these are all four basic languages which we automatically see once we install the Visual Studio. But if we want to install the like JSharp.NET and other languages, while installation itself, we can choose that one. Okay. So basically, it will install these four languages here. So if I want to do my programming with the help of C sharp, automatically you can see the symbols here. It will automatically converted as C sharp. Before, if I see that, if I select the Visual Basic, previously it was VB, and if I move to the C sharp, automatically I can able to see this C sharp here. Okay. So here, if I select the console application, And if I click on so if I click on browse wherever I want to store my particular project, I can save that information document. So, so I can give the name here. I can choose select, and whatever the name I want to give, I can give it here. So the name whatever I want to provide for our demonstration, I can give that name here. That is our demo. I click on OK. So once I create any program in console application, basically the structure will be like this. As I told you, the solution explorer can contain solutions here, where each solution can have multiple projects. Under one solution, we can have multiple projects. So if I want to add one more project here, what I can do is I can simply right click on the particular solution, and I can go with the add button, and I can choose the new project. So whatever the project I want to add, I can add it to my solution here. So currently we have one project where we can able to see the all the related files. By default, if I create the one console application, automatically I can able to see the uh, C sharp class with the name program.cs. Okay, so and if I open that program.cs, by default Visual Studio will give these lines of codes. These lines of code it will give here. So let me remove everything and make it very simple, and so that we can understand, and later we can add the related code here. And let me remove this one as well. So I'm removing everything and make it as a very simple program in CSharp. So this is a very simple program. What we can see, what we can write in our console applications. So this is the class where my class name is program, and it has one special method with the name main, and it is a static, and it is returning, it is not returning anything. That's why we are placing a void here. Okay, let me explain again. So here we have only 4 lines of code here, from 2 to 7, that means 5 lines of code we have here. So here this is a class which indicates as a kind of a blue color, which indicates as a keyword here. Class is a keyword, and it has one name which is a user friendly name. By default it gave a name as program. We can change it, like whatever the name we want to give, we can give it here. And also if you see here, under the inside the class, we have one method with the name main. Inside the class we have one method with the name main. So this is the special method in our C# program, uh, and also we can call that as entry point of our execution. So this is a special method in our C# program, and also we can call this main method as a entry point for our program. Okay. See why? Let me first execute this one and see what will happen, and slowly we can write one more line
Static
of code.
void, static void main is a it's a method totally.
Yes. Yeah, I will explain everything, Rashika. Let me first execute this one and see what will happen. So this is the very basic program what we can write. This is the class and this is the name of the class. This is the keyword. This is the name of the class and this is the method. And I'm not writing any code here. I'm just executing here. So how we can execute the program in Visual Studio here is you can select the start button or you can click on F5 option. You can click on F5 as a shortcut or you can click on start button. Okay, let's click on the start button. So once I click on the start button, so it's opening one so if you see like it opened one console and it automatically closes. Let me run it again. So it opened and automatically closing. Okay, so let me hold that particular console for a moment here. So I'm executing this one. Now I can able to see, right, console. Here I can able to see the console. So until I click on this continue button here, I can still able to see my console here. So or else if I just enter here, automatically that will console will disappear. So let's comment out this in this one first. Okay. So if I want to write any kind of output into my console, what I can do is I can write system as a
Console is an output. To show output, you are writing console.
correct. System is a namespace, and under that we have one class which is called as console. Under that we have one method which is called as write. Okay. Inside that, if I write inside that if I write any method like hello world, and if I try to execute this one, it will open and it will automatically close. In order to hold that particular output for a while until you press enter, what you can write is system dot console dot read. So it will wait for you to press any kind of key. This line,
Here,
this
here you are writing system, which is like a, creating a space or creating something.
which one?
System.
System like
For
the
example,
pub.
let's see one doubt. Console is for displaying the output you are
Okay.
taking, right?
Mhm.
What about system?
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm telling you. So just let me first execute this one, and I will give the so what is this system and what is this console and what is this write. So let me first explain execute this one. See whatever the output I have written hello world, I can able to see it in my console, right? Okay. Here we can able to see the output. So here it is blinking one white cursor here. That means why it is blinking here is here we write system.console.read means it is expecting a character from the console. So until I press any kind of value, it will still hold into our system. Like if I press enter, automatically it reads that character and it closes automatically.
Come again? Didn't
So
get you.
now let me explain what is this main method
Okay.
and what is this.
Can you tell me once again previously what you told?
Yes, yes. Let me run this one. First I am going to remove this one. This line I am going to remove. So here I just written system.console.write. I just my purpose of writing this program is I want to print one output as hello world. That is the purpose of writing this program. So here we have defined one class with the name program. Under that we have put one method which is called as a static void main, and under that whatever I want to put as I want to see as the output, I have written here. Now the thing is in order to execute and see that output, what we need to do, we need to click on the start button. Okay, let me click on the start button. It get executed. After that it automatically closes, because as a console, in order to wait and see the output, we need to write one more line of code like this: system.read. What this line of code will do is it will hold the console in order to see our output. Okay, did you understand, Rajesh?
Yeah,
Rashid?
yeah, got it, got it.
So previously I removed this line of code here. So if you see, if I remove this line of code, I'm removing this line of code and I'm executing this one. It is getting executed, but we are not able to see our output
Seeing
here.
output. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to add one more line of code here, like a system.console.read. The purpose of this line of code is it will hold the console for a while to see our output. Until you press any key, it will hold our output to see. So that read method, what that read method will do is it is expecting one key from your keyboard. Until you press that one, it will still hold your output. Okay. So let me run now. So we can able to see the our output hello world, and at the same time if you see here it is a blinking one white cursor here. That means why it is blinking, we have written system.console.read. It is it is asking you to enter any kind of value. If I enter any kind of value or number, automatically it reads that number. Under that we don't have any line of code here, right? After that read, we don't have any line of code, so
Mm-hmm.
automatically it will get ended our program. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what, like, I'm just press enter here, automatically it is going to end our program. We have written two lines of code. So it will first execute this line of code, and after that it will execute this line of code. So after this read line method, we don't have any line of code, so that's why it automatically close our console. Okay. Now this is the time to understand what is this system, what is this main, and what is this console, and what is this write. Okay, let's first start with the main method. So I said the main method is a special method which is the entry point for our program. I said main method is a special method which is going to be entry point for our program. So let's understand that entry point word here. So here I told you, like, this CLR also provide one support which is called as a debug support. Okay, so if I say in order to debug our program, we can place our breakpoint for our program. If I want to put the breakpoint here, if I want to put the breakpoint for the main method, I can put my breakpoint here. Okay, this is the main method. I just put the breakpoint. So how I put my breakpoint here is I just click on that particular adjacent line of that particular main. If I click on that, it will give one kind of red symbol which indicates that breakpoint. Let's see how let's execute this program and see how it's gonna be hit here. Before that, before executing that, I'm going to write one more method here with white test. I'm going to write one more method with the test. two methods I have written here. One method is a main method and another method is test method. So I'm going to run my program here. So once I started execution of my program, this breakpoint first hitting here. So this is the main method which is getting execute first here. And once it is done everything, so automatically it will produce the output and it will close the thing. Okay, and let me write one more word here, static, and here I am going to call that test method. So I am going to call my test method. So let me try to execute the program now. First main method is getting execute. Let execute. Once I press any kind of value, now our test method is getting executed. Once this line of code getting executed, we are making a call for this test method from the main method, then it is getting executed here. So I told you like main method is a special method which is the entry point of our program. Entry point for our program. So even though let's move this method to the top, even though we have moved this method to the top, and even if we put our breakpoint to the test method, it always hit the main method as the starting method. Let's try this. First we have put this test method, and later lines of code we put this main method. Let's try to run this program and see, even though below I have, even the before main method itself, if I write this test method, this is getting hit from the main method itself. The program is getting executed from the main method itself. That's why we are saying that this main method is the entry point for our program.
One question.
Yeah.
Uh, Static void main is a main method
Yes.
we are creating.
Yeah.
Okay, if you remove if you do static void test, if you take the test, if you write a read there, it's also a method.
Yeah. If you see here, read
No, not there.
this one.
You created a method, right?
Test. I have created one test method.
Test method. So
Yeah.
remove the test method and I have read method. Read. No, I'm saying I don't remove that totally.
No, Madan bhai, he's saying instead of static
like
void
read.
test, he want to write static void
Static
read
void.
over there and check what it happens.
Okay. Okay.
It does
Okay.
the same thing.
No. Basically, see, if I want to read this one, yeah, I can read it.
Okay.
Okay, but the name I need to mark it again here.
Oh, okay. You want to do same thing. Okay.
So the
So you're
thing
saying
is,
that
this
that here
read
that
method is related to this class. But
okay.
whatever the read method we have created here, that is related to this program class.
But everything is same program, right?
Yeah. So where this console.read you were talking about?
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm asking that you created a test one you created test.
Correct.
That is not main method. It's a
It's a just
uh,
method. It's
method.
not a
But
main method. It's a just method.
in main method you are creating one more method.
Now here I am not creating the one more method. Here I am
Okay.
calling this existing method.
Oh,
So yeah, I told you everything need to be done from the main method itself.
yes. Okay.
Everything, whatever the operation we want to process in our console application,
Oh, okay.
that everything need to start from the main method itself. Even though I have
Okay. One
written
more.
200 lines of code outside of the main method, in order to execute that particular lines of code, I need to make a call for them from the main
Okay.
method.
Now Now here read is a just is a program. In order to call this program, you are creating one more method related to this read program.
Correct, correct. So the
Exactly
purpose,
what I said.
yes, yes. Let me summarize again. So here I have written, let me first remove this one.
Okay.
So let me remove this one and I'm going to execute this program. So basically, even before that, let me tell you one more thing. So basically, I told you uh, every program, if I write any program, that will be executed in a step-by-step process. First first line number one will execute. Second line number two will execute until whatever the lines we have written that get executed in a sequential manner. Okay, but the thing here is. Even though you have written any lines of code in our console application, everything need to start from the main method itself. Here I have two methods. One is read method and another one is main method. For our main method, for our console application, this gonna be the starting point of our execution. Whatever the code you have written, that only will execute. Whatever the code we are written and inside the mail, that only that only that program will execute, that only that compiler will execute. Here what we have written is void main, inside the void main method we have written a write method and the read method. Those two only get execute. Even though I have declared the one more method with the read name, until I call it here, this will not get executed. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let me repeat again. So I'm just trying to execute this one. So even though I have written the read method on top of the main method, it is getting executed from the main method itself. So here the hit will happen with this main method only. The cursor, the program getting started with this main method. So that's why it is holding here. And if I click on this continue button, now this statement will get executed. After this statement will get executed, and after this if you write a few more lines of code, that statement will get executed.
Okay. Now I got understand what is this. How many methods you create separately in the main method or above the main method?
Yes,
First it gets executed
execute from
in the
the
method
main
only.
method itself.
Then only it goes to another method.
Another method. So here
Okay.
we haven't make any call this read method. So it will not execute this read method. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If I make a call, how I can make a call is that method name. Just method name here. And
The read is a
this
normal
is a
program
normal
function.
method. Now this read is a normal method. But
Okay.
here this read is related to this console method.
I got it. Now below the console is a read, right?
Yeah, correct. This
Yeah.
one.
Okay. To call that function, you are creating one more method.
No, the name, how we can call a method is we need to put the name and the opening parenthesis and closing parenthesis and semicolon.
Okay. The read is a program, right?
This read is a method. Here
Ah.
this two
Okay.
lines of
Static void
code.
read is a method. I got it.
Yeah.
Static void is a method.
Mhm.
To call this read function, you are creating a method. I'm asking there.
I'm not creating any method here. In order to call a method, for example, see how I am calling you with your name, right?
Mm-hmm.
To call you, I'm just saying that Raj, are you able to understand like that? I am asking. If that is the
Okay.
case, with your name only, I am able to call you. So
Mm-hmm.
similarly, for a program, I have 10 methods here. Which method I want to call? I need to tell that method name. So this read is the method name, And how we are indicating that read is a method with this opening and closing parenthesis. Then automatically the compiler will treat that this read is a method and it is going to call this method again.
That's what I'm asking. Here you created a read method to call this read method.
Yes.
You wrote just static void read method.
Correct,
Right?
correct. Yes.
So this read method belongs to static void read method, not static void main method.
Yeah, it's not related to this static void main method. This is related to this one.
Okay, that method should be writing on the top, or we can write even that above the
Even
read also.
even if you move this one below the main method also will work similar.
Okay, okay, sure.
So why I'm returning on top? Before that I have written in below only. Okay. Now I have written on top. So to make you understand, even though I have written on top of the main, it is getting execute from the main method itself.
Okay.
To make you understand, I moved that method above the main method. So before that, what I told you, if I write any program, it is getting executed in a line by line. So you may have a question. If I put this one in outside of this, if I close it here, if I start here, you can have a doubt. Basically, as a program, it will get started from this line, and after this line and this line and this line. Okay. So you may understand like that. So that's why what I told you is what I did here is I moved this method above the main method and put a breakpoint for both the methods. Even though I put a breakpoint for both the methods, first this main method only getting executed here. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So in order to show how breakpoint works, you are doing you wrote
yeah,
in the
correct.
format. Okay.
So this is the one thing. Let me run now main, and again if I put a breakpoint and if we press enter here, and now if you see here our read method is calling. We can able to see our read method. Okay. So this is how this execution happening in our CSharp program. So let me repeat one more time. Here we have written a few lines of code. This class is a keyword. This class is a keyword in C# language, and program is the name of the class. We can give it any name for our class. If you want to give test, or if you want to give student, or if you want to give any employee, whatever the class we want to, whatever the name of the class we want to give, we can give it here. And for every class we have one special method which is called as a main method, which will be the entry point for our program. Okay. So whatever the lines of code we have written inside the main method will get execute here. And once that method execution started, it will print the output, and this line of code will help us to hold the output until you press any key from the keyboard. And if I want to create any kind of method, we can simply create like this, and we can call that method with the name of the method and opening and closing parentheses here. This opening and closing parenthesis indicates a method. Okay, so that's how we can make a call to this method. So let me simplify this program here. Let me simplify this program here. So to write the output to our console, what we have written, system.console.write write method we have written here. So let's see what is this system, what is this console, and what is this method. So if you mouse over mouse over on that particular system, you can able to see that particular system is a namespace, right? We can able to see that as a namespace. And if you're able to see this, if you mouse over that particular console, it's saying that it's a class, right? Okay. And if you mouse over this particular right, it's saying that method console.write and specify the string value to the standard output string. Okay, so this is how we can understand this line of code here. This system is a namespace, this console is a class, this write is a method. System is a namespace, console is a class, and write is a method here. System is a namespace, console is a class, and write is a method. Under this,
So yeah, console is a class we are creating to the method. Okay.
this is a system that is a namespace, which is the predefined namespace from the Microsoft.NET.
Yeah, means that we are creating a space for a class. So after creating the class, we are going to call a method in the class.
Yes, it's correct. First we are referencing the namespace, and after that we are referencing the classes inside that namespace, and after that we are referencing the method inside of that class. The structure will be like this. So
For every program, we should write a console because it's a class, right?
yeah, correct. So if you see here, how we can, how the hierarchy here is, first namespace will happen. Namespaces are there, namespace, and after that, under the namespace, we have a collection of classes. Okay, under the collections, we have a collection of methods. Collection of methods. This is how the hierarchy. So namespaces, on top we have a namespaces. Under the namespaces we have classes. Under the classes we have a collection of methods. This is how the hierarchy here. So under we have a namespace. Under that we have a class. Under that we have a write method. So that is how this execution happens. And let me go through let me simplify this line of code here. Instead of writing this line of code, what I can do is on top I can simply write using system, and I can remove the system for all the lines. So instead of writing for each and every line the system.console, on top I can write one line of code using system, then all the classes available in this namespace I can use it here. Whatever the
You're
classes,
saying, you're saying that instead of creating every space or class, directly created whole space in the main itself.
yeah, home namespace I can mention on the top of the class itself.
It means that you created a common space for everything, for every classes.
Yeah, common. That means we are inheriting that system namespace into our program.
Yeah, into Goro, yeah.
Yeah, that we are inheriting. This system is a predefined class. We are inheriting that system into our program. Then whatever the classes are available in that particular system, that I can write it here, and whatever the methods I can available, I can write it here. So instead of repeating that system in each and every line of code, I can simply write on top it here, and I can work it. I can simply avoid the system here.
So wherever you write, wherever you want to write the class, then it considers there is a system. It
Yes, yes,
automatically considers system
correct.
is
System
okay.
already defined. So that's
Yeah.
why we mentioned on top here. So to reduce the number of lines of code or typing speed, typing time as well, to improve the typing speed and other things. So we can write that all our information, whatever the common for our program, that we can
Mm.
write on the top itself, and we can reuse that namespace in our all lines of codes. Okay, so this is how so if I try to execute this one, same output whatever we got, we can still can see the output hello world. So what we have done previously, that system.console.write we have written here itself. Now to simplify our execution process, what I have done is I have removed that system from these lines of code, and I put those that information with the help of using statement, using system. Okay. So that's how we can work with the namespace. So this is the very sample program which we can write with the help of C Sharp program. C Sharp. So let me repeat again. So the sample, the very basic program for a C Sharp language here is it has a class keyword and it has the name of the class and opening braces and closing braces, and inside that we have one special method which is called as main method, and inside that whatever the operations we want to write, we can write it here. So in order to display the output or in order to read the input from the user, so that all operation we can do inside the main method. Okay, we can write our own methods outside of the main, but in order to get execute those methods, we need to call those methods from the main method. So example is see, so as we already written the public. Sorry. Here what I can do is I can write my own method white test. I can write my own method, and if in order to call that method, what I can do is I need to make a call like this, right? Semicolon. So
Oh, okay, okay.
then
So
only,
in order to call any function, you are creating a method regarding that function.
yes, yes,
That's correct?
yeah,
Okay,
that's
got
correct.
it. Now I got it.
So in order to, if you see here, if even though I have written this particular test method, if I haven't called this, if I haven't write that line of code, this method will not call here. Let me do it. Let me execute and see. So first it will execute here. Just press the F10 here. I'm pressing F10. First line of code getting execute and second line of code getting execute, and it's coming out of the lines of code. So if I press enter, so it is coming out of this particular method. If I press enter, if I press F10 again, it will automatically close our application because I haven't called this method. Now if I try this one, now if I try to execute this program here, if I press the F10, first line will get execute, and again if I press the F10, second line will get execute, and again if I press the F10, so now this will like wait here sometime, and if I press enter, so now this line of code will get execute this, and again if I press the F10, now the cursor is coming here.
Okay, if you write any function like now there's a test. Now if you write one more function like uh, something like
Test
output
1,
something
test
function.
2, if I write
Okay.
like this.
Okay. Again, if you create one more method, static void test one,
Yes. So
just create
here,
it.
yeah, I need to, in order to create like this, Here I need to create a test1 here, and
Again, you
again
should write test one. You should write
I
test one function there.
yeah, here also I need to write a test1 here. Then only it will call that particular test1 method.
Okay, now I understood. Okay, fine. Okay, how many functions you create in main method? You should write a method in order to call that main, in order to call function in main method.
Yes, correct.
Exactly that what you're saying. What is
Yeah,
it?
basically, even though like how many methods you are creating, test1 and test2, something like that. In order to
Mm-hmm.
make a call and execute this particular method, we need to give a call from here.
Yeah, I got it.
You need to give a call from here, then only this method
Mm-hmm.
will get execute and show your output. Let me write
Okay.
something here. What I can do is here console dot write. I'm placing that inside test method, inside test method I'm placing, and here inside test1 method I'm just placing like
Mm-hmm.
this. Now if I try to execute the program, now we can see the output. First cursor will come to the main method. As I told, the main method is the entry point for our program. Now then if I press the F10, first line of code will get execute, and this method will call and cursor will come like this. This method will execute, and again test2 test1 method will get called and cursor will come like this, and lastly it will stop here, read method. Uh,
That is the output. Your
yeah,
read is an output you're showing.
yeah.
Okay.
So if you see here in my console, first method inside the main we have written hello world, and after the test we have written inside test method, and after that inside test1 method. All will come like this. Okay. So if I press enter, this will close the output
That
here.
is the output, right? Inside the test method, inside test one method's output, right?
Yeah, inside the test method is the output. Inside the
Okay.
test1 method is output here.
Okay. In this program, we call that is a parameter, or what? What do we call? It's a calling function. In
Where it
program.
is.
In program, what we call that one?
This one.
Inside the method, what do we call that? It's a
This is the
parameter.
parameter. It's a
We should
parameter.
call it a parameter. Okay.
Yes. So this write method accepting one parameter, which is called as the
Generally,
string method.
yeah. Generally, we give in C language within the we'll give parameter within the brackets only, right?
Correct,
Within.
correct, correct. So
So here
here,
also same thing.
here also same. So here we have written this test. Okay. So this test is a method, but it is not accepting any parameters.
Yeah.
But this write method will accepting one parameter, which is called as string parameter.
Mhm.
So
So now
whatever,
inside the test method string parameter.
yes, inside the test, if I want to, for example, for this test also, if I want to pass any parameter, I need to define like this string name.
Oh, okay. String.
But
Okay.
here also I need to pass that name here. That whatever the name I want to pass, that name I need to pass it like this. Then only it will work.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
So these
Only
methods,
string we should give. We cannot give rather than a string.
we
Is
can
a
give it.
format we give?
If you see, if I
Like
place the integer,
int.
then
Yeah.
I can give the
Okay.
integer.
Okay. Fine. Got it.
So
Got it. Got it.
whatever
Depends
the
on
data
the
type you are
depends.
passing, that type
Yeah.
only you need to
Okay.
pass it
Fine.
here.
Yeah. Got it. Got it.
So that methods, creating the methods and the types of parameters, that all we can able to, we have a further sessions as well in detail session. There I can explain you what is this method and what is the need of writing a method. That all I can able to explain to you guys.
Okay.
So what is this method and the need of that method and how many types of methods are there, that all I can explain to you guys. And so basically this is a very sample program, but I want you guys to understand what is this main method, what is this class, what is this console, what is this write, that all I just want you guys to familiar with. Okay, so this is about the sample, very basic program in our C# language. Okay.
So I think today it's done because if
Yes.
you tell more,
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we can close it here. So basically,
because
let me summarize what we have explained today, Rashikar, so that you
Mhm.
both can understand clearly. So now, basically, with 2 days of session, what I explained to you guys is I explained with the .NET fundamentals. What is this .NET and what are the applications we can develop with the .NET, and after that three components of the .NET. One is this one .NET framework, and the other one is Visual Studio, and third one is ASP.NET. Under that
.NET
.NET,
framework is separate tool.
no, it's a component of .NET.
Okay, you
So
mean like you're saying Visual Studio is one of the .NET and .NET
no, no,
framework one of the .NET.
no, it's a components of entire .NET. If I say like, for example, if you take the if I take the C# as a language, inside that we do have the classes, methods,
Yeah, yeah,
and
got it.
other types of subtopics are there.
Yeah, yeah.
Similarly, inside the .NET, we have three components. One is the .NET framework and Visual Studio and ASP.NET. Under that
Okay,
.NET
but
framework,
we. Mhm. Yeah, go
under
ahead, go ahead.
under the .NET framework, again we have the like subtopics. .NET framework, we have the CLR, which is the Common Language Runtime, where it provides the 10 kind of services. Okay, and after that we have the base class libraries as well. So which is the predefined classes provided by the .NET framework. And at the same time I started giving kind of introduction on Visual Studio, where I gone through all the Visual Studio options, what are the options are available and how we can work with the Visual Studio. And
No, actually,
after,
you said we have three components, right? One is
yeah,
.NET Framework, one is Visual Studio, one is ASP.NET.
yeah,
In Visual
yes,
Studio, we are writing the C# code. What will you
correct.
do in ASP.NET? What will you do in .NET Framework?
Yeah, .NET framework, as I told you, see, let me summarize it from here. So first what I did is I explained this what is .NET and what we can do about the .NET, right? So this is clear
Mhm.
for you, right?
Yeah,
Okay. After that, what I told you is under this .NET we have three components.
okay.
Okay. One is a .NET framework, ASP.NET, and Visual Studio. This .NET framework again have the two different components: common language runtime and framework class library. So under that
Okay.
common language runtime, we have 8 services where I explained each and every service. And after that,
Mhm.
we have a framework class library. So this framework class library is nothing but a predefined classes.
Okay, these are the things that define in Visual Studio to develop
Yes,
the
yes,
code.
correct. So
With
under
these frameworks only, we can write the code.
correct.
Okay.
With these framework classes, we can write the code efficiently in Visual Studio. So to
Okay.
write the code, we can choose the notepad as well. There is no issue to write the code in notepad. Okay, but the problem with the writing the code here is, so as I told you, if I see, let me misspell the word as class. Here it is indicating that with the red color, it is indicating that. So a
Just something
namespace,
wrong.
yeah, a namespace cannot directly contain or something like it is giving an error here.
That is a framework you're saying. That indication you can say is framework.
No, no, that indication is called as Visual Studio. One of the feature
Okay.
that code that syntactical errors indication is one of the feature from the Visual Studio. If I done
Mm-hmm.
same mistake in the particular notepad, will it give any error here? No, right? If I
Yeah, yeah,
remove
no.
if I remove the s from the class keyword, notepad is not giving any error. But if you see here, if I do that kind of same mistake in Visual Studio, I can easily identify here. So that kind of feature that Visual Studio is providing here. And at the same time, see, I will show you one more thing. So if I type the system, if I press the dot here, I can see all the methods here, all the classes
Oh,
related to that particular system. So even if I forget about this console, I can scroll down and I can choose that particular class here. Okay, so now if I can select, and if I again if I press the dot, whatever the methods are available, all I can able to see it here.
okay, got it.
So I can able to see right line method, that all I can able to see it here. But same thing if I want to do it in visual this notepad, I can't able to do such kind of operation. See if I
These are the predefined library you're saying.
yes, yes, yes. So these are the predefined libraries. If I type something, that Visual Studio will display all the methods here. So I can quickly choose.
That are called predefined libraries, right?
Yeah, those are called predefined libraries, but we can call it as the IntelliSense support. IntelliSense support
Interesting.
from Visual Studio.
Okay, okay.
IntelliSense support from the Visual Studio. Like if I type yes, it will pass. It will show you the system. So let me do that one as well. See here, if I type yes, it is showing all the related yes kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if I press Y, automatically it is showing the particular thing. So it's providing the easy way of writing our code.
Okay, got it, got it.
So this is how we can work with the system. And after that, what I explained you guys is this Visual Studio and ASP.NET. ASP.NET I haven't explained much, but I just gave you we can develop the website with the help of ASP.NET. The difference between the Visual Studio and ASP.NET is these are two individual components. Visual Studio is a integrated development environment where we can write our code. At the same time, ASP.NET code also we can write in the Visual Studio only. That writing the HTML code, that all we can write in the Visual Studio itself. Once we move with the ASP.NET, then you can have kind of idea on what is this ASP.NET and all.
At present, we are in Visual Studio. Okay.
Yeah, yes. So at present we are in a Visual Studio explanation. So that's what I try to explain. And after that, I explain the concept of writing the simple program in Visual Studio with the class and the static void main method.
Yeah, everything will be same, right?
Yes, yes,
We should create a main method. Then, if you want to call any function, we should create for function. We should create one more method
yes, yes.
under the main. Same,
Yeah,
same format.
everything. Yeah, everything will be the same format here.
And the parameters can be given within the console,
Opening
right?
and
That is,
close, yeah, opening and the
yeah,
closing the parentheses, we can give the parameters here.
yeah. That that is the parameters where we can give in that namespace method. I mean, like,
Yes.
one doubt here. I haven't read the console at right is it is a function or it's anything.
Yeah, let me explain the console dot right here.
It's a function or it's a method. Public
It,
void is a method. It's a class and it's a method. It's a class with. method you're saying.
Yeah, this is the class, and inside that, this is the method.
Method. Yeah. That whole what we call it as
No, we don't have a specific name for both. What
oh,
we can
okay,
call it
okay,
as this is the class, and inside that
okay,
we have a method
okay. Inside we are creating some push to get
parameters.
out. Okay,
Yes, yes,
fine.
correct.
Sir, okay, okay, fine.
But here, if you see here, this is the namespace. We have a name for that. The system, we can call it as namespace. So once you mouse
Mm-hmm.
over, you can see that. So once you mouse over on that particular system,
Yeah,
we can see
namespace.
that
Yeah.
namespace. Similarly, if you mouse over here, you can see that class. Left side, it is starting with class. Okay, so that console represents the standard input, output, and error streams for console application. This class cannot be inherited. So that kind of thing we can able to see it here. And right, if you mouse over, it's saying that white console right. That means under the console class we have a write method which accepting a string parameter. Okay.
Okay, fine.
And also if you want to see the complete information, so if you want to see what are the classes are available in that particular namespace, just select here, right click and go to the definition. Click on go to the
Definition. Yeah,
definition.
okay.
So then it will go and show you everything. And the same thing if you see here, if you click on go to definition, all the methods are displaying here. This kind
Yeah,
of
go to
code
definition.
This kind of code already written by that .NET Framework base class libraries. That's why I told this will automatically reduce the much code in our programming. So if I want to write this kind of writer, so let me go to that write method. This is the write method where it is accepting a string parameter. See, if I want to write this kind of code, so how we can write? So this is the all code which is written by the particular framework class library. So we are just using that already existing methods to print our output.
The definitions indicates for what to know about that the
Correct. How it
method
is
is
working.
okay, okay,
So
fine.
how that method is working. That all information we can able to see.
Okay, Madan bhai.
Yep, yep. Thank you, Muzaffar and Rashikar. Tomorrow at the same time we can meet again.
Okay, but
Okay.
today evening no class, right?
Tomorrow, yeah, we said we have a session, right? Saturday and Sunday.
But today
Saturday,
evening we
Sunday
don't
again.
have, right?
No,
Oh,
What?
okay.
no evenings.
Okay, I got it. Tomorrow for Sunday means for us will be here. Tomorrow
Saturday
evening
for us.
only.
Yeah, same time.
Tomorrow,
Tomorrow's Shekhar bhai, tomorrow morning same time 7:30 for us and Madan by 7 p.m. IST for him.
I
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
but today evening we doesn't have any class. I mean,
No, no,
I'm
no,
saying
no.
that Sunday for Madan Bhai Sunday morning we doesn't have class here. I'm saying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
Sunday
yes.
morning
You
we
are
don't have
correct. Yeah.
any session.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you,
Then
guys.
Okay.
why can't we do like this? Why can't we keep Sunday morning also? Then Sunday we can take rest everyone, right? Is that
Uh,
good way?
Muzaffar
Yeah.
having trouble.